Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to whatever time you're watching me at. I am Dr. Bresis Doctor, yours, to make your life little bit easy to learn orthodontics. As promised, today is a Saturday and I am here with a new chapter, Methods of Studying Growth. Last time we learnt about why do we need to study growth. It was more about how the gender affects the growth, how various factors affect growth, how can we know about it with the help of Scamm's curve, cephalocaudal gradient of growth. Today we need to understand methods of studying growth. So there are three methods of studying growth. One is a longitudinal, two is a cross-sectional, three is a semi-longitudinal. So longitudinal means, let me make you understand with the help of an example. For example, you have 10 people or students, 10 students who are studying in class 3, and we need to calculate how much growth occurred when they came into class 10th. Okay, so what we need to do is we have to put them into a longer period of observation. Okay, so longitudinal means observation or methods that are seen in a particular group of people for a longer interval over a prolonged period of time. Means I have to check how much that 10 students have grown from class 3 to class 10th. So in between them there is 7 years of difference. Okay, so for me I have to keep in touch with them for those 7 years, right? So that can be little bit cumbersome for me because it has to be carried out for a longer period of time. So I'll divide it into advantage and disadvantage. Advantage will be I'll get an accurate result, more accurate result. Disadvantage will be it will require longer time period. Secondly, it will, for me to maintain that data, means if I am writing in a copy, I have to keep that copy with me for 7 years. Or if I am storing it in a laptop, I have to be very particular that I don't lose that measurement for the next 7 years. So that can be little bit problematic for me. That can be some storage issue. There can be, I might lose my copy, I might lose my laptop. Okay, those things have a little bit of risk with them. For example, from that 10 students, if out of those 10 students 3 students get transferred to a different school, for me to find them out where they go, and if for example they change the state, again I have to change the state, I have to go to them to calculate those things, right? So these are the disadvantages of longitudinal studies. Next is I have 10 students of class 3. What I'll do is class 3, 10 students. What can I do is from class 3 I select 10 students. From class 10th I select 10 students. I measure the height, I measure their height, and I can compare that class 3 students average growth will be this much and class 10 students average growth will be this much. That is one advantage for me, is I don't need much longer period of time. At a particular time, means if I am going today, I can go and check for class 3 students. At the same time, today only I can go and check the class 10 students. So it is of shorter duration. Of course, when it is a shorter duration and I don't need to keep the data for such a longer time, it will be less tiring for me, less expensive for me, okay, and I can get a larger students. Like I can select, for here I am taking for example 10 students, I can take 50, 100, I can take the whole class. But if I am taking the whole class for a longitudinal study, it will be very difficult for me to understand, okay. So that in that case, cross-sectional studies have an advantage on longitudinal studies. For example, someone says, no, if it will not give me a proper result, right? Class 3 students, they have a different nutrition, different environment, different time of exercise or anything like that, and class 10 students might be having different. So I might not get a particular accurate data of how it is changing. In those conditions, I can take a semi-longitudinal. Means I can take 10 students from class 3, again 10 students from class 10th. I can do the height calculation at same time, plus along with that I can see, wait for 7 years and see how much they have grown when they became class 10. So now I have two datas. This 10 students from class 3 to class 10, how much they are growing. Simultaneously, at that point of time, whoever is at class 10, I can check for those 10 students. You understood? If you haven't understood, please, it's a genuine request from me. Please do message me if you are having any doubt. I am trying to make it very easy for you. So it's means I am taking 10 students from class 3. I'll wait for 7 years. I'll see how much they have grown. At that same point of time, after 7 years, I'll go to and when I took the data from class 3 students, that time whoever were at class 10 students, I'll take that data also, and simultaneously I'll derive data. Okay. So I have now 20 students, 10 from 7 years back class 10 students, 10 data from 7 years later class 10 students. So I have 20. So I'll get a much better accurate type of data for the studies. Okay. So you understood what are the methods. One is longitudinal, long. See, it has long. Long means over a long period of time. Cross-sectional means section wise. So I'll take from class 10, from class 3. Semi-longitudinal means longitudinal plus cross-sectional is equal to semi-longitudinal studies. Okay. Moving on to what are the types of growth data. First is opinion. Opinion is a very crudest means it can be a very clever guess. Means you are going and asking someone, hi, can you tell me how much should be the height of a class 10 student? And he or she might be a teacher also, and they must be teaching those class 10 students. So they might be having an idea. So they say, in my opinion, around 5 to 5'3" should be the best height for the class 10 students. This is an example, okay? So it's an opinion from them, which is not scientific. I cannot rely on someone's opinion, okay? And if I have option of collecting data through any other means, I should never go for opinion, okay? Next is observation. Observation means if it is present or absent. Okay. This is very useful in studying or non phenomenon. Either yes or no. There cannot be anything more. Means you are someone is going for orthodontic treatment and you are asking them, are you feeling pain while when we put braces in your mouth? It can be yes or it can be no. Okay, it cannot be sometimes yes, sometimes no. That thing cannot be taken into observation. Okay, observation is always plus or minus. Correct. Next is ratings and rankings. Rating means it is a standard conventional accepted scale. That means, or ranking is also arrangement. For example, we ask someone, when you put braces, do you feel pain? It can be strongly yes, yes, no, strongly no, or we can simply put it as strongly agree, agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. Means yes, I have a lot of pain when you put braces on me. No, yeah, I get sometimes pain. Someone will say no, I don't get pain, but yeah, sometimes little bit of pain, that is acceptable for me. And sometimes they'll say no, I never get pain when I put braces. Okay, so that is a few ratings. Like you go in Ola, Uber, you sometimes order food from Blinkit, Zomato, Swiggy. They'll ask you, no, please rate us. Whenever they'll be delivering the things, they'll tell you, please rate us from 0 to 5. 0 means worst and 5 being the best performance, right? So you have a option of putting either 0 or 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, anything which you feel like. That is ratings and rankings. Okay, it is whenever a particular data is difficult for quantification means giving it a number, then such type should be adopted. Next is quantitative measurements. That is, quantitative measurements has been divided into direct data, indirect data, and derived data. So what is that? Direct data means from living or dead person, we take directly scales, we measure them. You have a height measurement scales in different departments, rooms, house. You can just go directly measure the height and you can tell. Indirect data means you have a photograph or radiograph, x-ray or a dental cast, and you can see how much they have grown. Means the person or the dead body is not with you. You have something which is reciprocated. Means either you have photographs or you have study models, cast, or you have x-rays. From that you get indirect data. Data taken from direct data, living or dead. Indirect data from study models, photos, x-rays. Derived data means comparing both direct and indirect data, will compare and will finally get a particular set of measurement. Okay, that is derived data. Understood? Opinion, observation, ratings and rankings, finally quantitative measurements. Next we have, those were types of growth data. Now we have how to measure or how to study growth. First is measurement approaches. Measurement approach. Second is experimental approach. Measurement approach is done in living organisms where we do not harm someone. Okay. Experimental means sometimes you see a lot of times we have heard that experiments are going on frogs, mice. Those are experimental mice. Monkeys. Those we try to conduct some experiment on that, and depending on the result, if it is approved or not approved, we go to carry out on humans. Okay. So these all are measurement approach and experimental approach. There are other tests how to check. First is biometric test. It is not biometric test, guys. Please, half of the time people will write in the answer sheet biometric. No, it is not biometric, it's biometric. Bi means two, metric means calculations, means these are the tests for height, weight, skeletal maturation. Okay, these are measured and compared with a standard thing. Means have you people went back and have watched the video methods of central tendency? There was a graph in which 90% of observations falls in this. Now I take your height and I'll compare where does your height lies. Is it here, here, here or here? Okay, I'll compare with 90% of population of same age, same gender. Okay, that is biometric test. Second is vital staining. Now there is a story. What happened is in 1936, a person named Belcher, he was just roaming around and he saw dead body of few animals. Okay, and he saw that those bones were not white, they were red in color. So then he was in how can a bone be red in color when the maximum things are in white in color, of course. So then he found out that those animals had eaten madder plants which are very rich in alizarin. So here vital staining was first seen in 1936 by Belcher, who saw animal bones red in color. Then he found out that these animals ate madder plants. Madder plants which had, this madder plant had a dye named alizarin. No, not Zareen Khan, okay? Alizarin, okay? Some might call it alizarin. I can take it granted for my pronunciation, okay? Then he took that dye and he used it for bone research, okay? What we do is we inject these dyes into experimental animals and we see in what ways are the bone growing. Means we take dyes, inject it to bones and see where is the bone growing. Not only shape but also size, direction and magnitude. Okay, so we got a thing. Now there are few dyes which help us in doing all these things. What are those are? First, of course, we have alizarin red 5. Second is acid alizarin blue. Third is trypon blue. Fourth is tetracycline. Fifth is lead acetate. See, tetracycline you must have read in pharmacology also, that tetracycline should not be given to pregnant people, women. So, because it leads to staining of the teeth. That is exactly what is vital staining. Understood? Next is, we have radioisotopes. These were dyes. Okay, we were injecting it. Next is radioisotopes. These are certain elements which, when injected into the tissue, gets incorporated into the developing bone. Okay, and then after few years and time, we can track down where the radioactivity is, because we know radioisotopes in X-rays, it will look as white in color, right? So then we can track them where they are going. Understood? So few examples are technetium 33, calcium 45, potassium 32. Okay, these are the 3 methods. Next came implants. This is a very important one. It comes in exams half of the time. This was first introduced by Bjork in 1969. Okay, it involved, what he did was, he involved implanting, means he involved putting some implants into growing bone. Now think that your bone is growing. Okay, I'll just give an example. This is a implant. This is a small mandible, and then the mandible grows. This one is the adult mandible. If I put an implant here, later after few years, I saw the implant has shifted its position from here to here. I know the bone is growing this direction, and little bit of, and little bit of backward direction. Okay, so now this is where we are doing. This helps us with, obviously we cannot tear the whole muscle and everything to see, no. We'll put an implant, take a radiograph, after few years again take a radiograph. We will put both the radiographs on each other so that we can see the difference. Now those implants should be 1.5 mm in length, 0.5 mm diameter, and of tantalum metal. They should be very small. It should not hamper to the things. Okay. Now, where should we put those implants? First is in the maxilla, in the hard palate, behind deciduous canines, prior to eruption of maxillary permanent incisors. Just behind the, here, in the hard palate, behind deciduous canines before the eruption of maxillary permanent incisors. Second is below the anterior nasal spine. This is the ANS, right?
I found this on the web for eruption of max.
Sorry, that was Siri who thought of teaching us. Okay. So this is the anterior nasal spine. See, I'll again put, this is the anterior nasal spine. One just below it. Here. Okay. Next is two implants on either side of zygomatic. You know, this is the zygomatic bone. Correct? So two implants in the either side of zygomatic process of maxilla. This is maxilla. I do not need to teach you anatomy, right? This is zygomatic bone. This is zygomatic. The bone going towards zygoma is known as zygomatic process of maxilla. So I'll put two implants on either right and left side of zygomatic process of maxilla. One below the ANS, one behind the deciduous canine before the eruption of maxillary permanent incisors, and lastly border between hard palate and alveolar process medial to first molar. Here. So these are the few things. So we had one below the anterior nasal spine, two at the right and left side of zygomatic process of maxilla, one behind the canine and one medial to molar. Okay, these are the four for the maxilla. For mandible, I'll show you. So next comes the mandible. In mandible, we'll put the implant anterior aspect of symphysis just below the root tips in the midline. Okay. So one here. Next, two pins on right side of mandibular body. See, this is the body. This is the body. So two in the body, one below the first premolar and one below the second premolar. Okay. So one below the first premolar, one below the second premolar. And lastly, one pin on the external aspect of ramus. So this is the ramus. This whole thing is the ramus. So one pin at the external aspect of ramus. These are the points where implants will be placed. Next came radiographic techniques. Okay. So next came radiographic techniques, which involved two things. One, hand wrist radiograph. Second, cephalometry. Okay. So hand wrist radiographs are taken in the hand position and they have small bones. You see, these are the bones. We'll read about how to see growth from these bones in the later classes. Okay. So for now, you just remember hand wrist radiographs are taken to study growth. And second is cephalometry. Cephalometrics was first introduced in 1931 by Broadbent. Okay. So this technique is used to see what is the condition of the skull, how much this maxilla. Can you see? I'll draw 1 second. Okay. See. Can you see these lines? Small lines. This is maxilla and then this is mandible. See, this is a condyle your coronoid process, ramus, and then this is the body of the mandible. Okay, this is the nasal bone. We'll learn about cephalometrics in the later classes. So these all are helpful in learning the growth. Lastly, there are natural markers also. For example, see, can you see this translucent thing? This is known as mandibular foramen. Such kind of foramens, mental foramen, you see this? These all foramens help us in knowing the growth. And lastly, there is a comparative anatomy between various things. So these all are methods of studying growth. Okay, so we learned today how to do the study, longitudinal, cross sectional and semi longitudinal, how to take data, opinions, observation, ratings, rankings, and qualitative approaches, direct data, indirect data, okay, and derived data. Later we saw how to study them, biometric test, vital staining, where we saw that how alizarin red was seen in few animals which was gotten from the madder plants, and we saw how implants is placed to study growth in maxilla, mandible. I told you the exact positions. Those positions are very important. It will come in exams. Okay, if you draw those diagrams which I have drawn here to show, even if you don't write it in written format, then also you'll get good marks. You can see this maxillary data very easy. Just make a U with teeth and everything and just put two dots, and it is self explainable to those people who are checking your paper, that you know. Okay, because I'll tell you one thing, as an examiner we don't have time to read whatever lines you have written. So if you can write it in a flowchart matter, you can draw diagrams, it will be very easy and you can fetch good marks. Okay, so these are all the things. And lastly, we saw how radiographs has been used, like hand wrist radiographs, cephalometrics, to study the growth. Okay, so this was for today's lecture. I like to thank you everyone. I know this is a very small number, but for me it feels like I have 100 students in my class, because while opening this channel I thought even if I get 5 subscribers also, that is okay for me. If I am changing and making some people's making orthodontics little bit easy for you, then it's my honor to have you. And today I have crossed 100 subscribers. Thank you so much, and I'll keep on doing this things. I'll keep on trying to make things easy in a better way. And please like, subscribe, and share my channel to everyone you know. And please do help me out. And if at all you cannot understand any point, do not feel bad. You can DM me in my Instagram channel at the rate Dr. Chashmish. It's a nice name because I am a Chashmish. So Dr. Chashmish, or you can just message it here, or you can put a comment below in this video, so that in the next video I'll try to help you with that. Okay, thank you. Be good, enjoy your life, and live, learn and enjoy. Thank you.